Hello delivery truck, hello viewers, good day to you guys. Welcome back to the channel. Glad you guys are here. I know, I'm super glad to be here. So what we have today appears to be a Toyota of some sort. It's a limited body style. I think this is a 4Runner, right? Yep, got the 4Runner. Customer attempted to perform their own brake job, and something's going on with the front calipers. Either there's like some seized bolts or something's broken off. Whatever it is, they could not get the brake job completed, so they have brought the vehicle here to me at 45,269 miles on the odometer, and I'm going to attempt to get this thing to come apart so I can get the new components back on. So this ought to be a bit of interesting maneuvering here, I suppose, because I've got to get this truck on the other side of that truck, but I can't get this truck on the side of that truck because that truck's unloading a bunch of granite slabs. So I think what I'll do is come out, back up, go around that way, nudge it in between the truck and the building, and then hang my corner to get into the shop. That's gonna kind of be the plan. I could wait until they're done and then just drive in straight, but I'm impatient and I don't have time for that. So we're just gonna do this the harder way because I have a habit of doing things the hardest way possible. It's just what I do. I don't really know why I elect to do things more difficult sometimes. Maybe it's just like a toxic personality trait where I turn everything into some kind of a personal challenge just to see if I can pull it off or not. I think that might be the reasoning, but it actually, I've come to find out that frustrates viewers because I do tend to do things in a difficult fashion. I feel good about the difficult things that I attempt to take on, but I've often found that a little bit of patience can go a long way. But having been a flat rate technician for X amount of time, patience is a virtue that I no longer possess in some instances. There's other instances where my patience is off the charts and is required to maintain a level of sanity. But then there's sometimes when it's just shortcut 30 and that's just the way it is. I don't know. How about you guys? Any flat rate guys out there that have a similar predilection towards punishment where you just have no patience when you should, yet you have extreme patience in spite of hardships and difficulty? Let me know in the comment section down below. Anyway, we're in the shop, centered up on the lift. Lift arms look like they're appropriately spaced. Let's go ahead and power this unit down. We'll dig the parts out of the back because I believe they brought their own components because they were trying to do their own brake job, but it did not work out. So let's dig the parts out of the back of the truck, get the thing up in the air, and we'll get the front wheels off and we'll get started on this this brake job. We'll see how this works out. By the way, I failed to mention it, but I do believe that this 4Runner is of the 2020 variety. There we go. Let's see how this is gonna work out for us. Not very well. I don't have enough frame rail. Need more frame space here. Raise those up, that's good. All right, we've got the lift arms all set up. The rack's ready to rock and roll. Like, subscribe button. 4Runner, moving on up. Yeah, so I wonder what's going on here because we've got I guess the complaint was the bolts for the calipers were not coming out now. Oop, welder gravity, I tripped on the cable. Yeah, the bolts for the calipers weren't coming out of it, and my guy couldn't get any headway made, so we're gonna go ahead and pull this apart and see what we can do about getting those calipers to come off of there. I've got a couple brand new rotors over yonder and a set of front pads with slide pins. There's some hardware in there. Don't know what that's doing there, but I guess we're gonna find out. So let's get the wheels off and get started. Okay, we've got 21 millimeters of impact socket here. Let's reverse NASCAR this wheel. Okay, so what we've got going on here looks like a fixed caliper, meaning this caliper does not have slide pins and does not move left and right as the brakes are applied, similar to a normal caliper. It's bolted straight to the steering knuckle. Now, the reason that Toyota can get away with that, with this fixed caliper, is because there are pistons on the inboard side. So you got two pistons here, and there's two more pistons on the outboard side. So this caliper has fluid chambers on the outboard and the inboard side. Therefore, the entire body of the caliper will not need to flex to accommodate from the space being taken up just by a one-sided caliper or one-sided piston caliper. So what we need to do here is not unbolt the caliper halves. That's actually a common mistake that people make on the Toyotas, is they go to do a brake job and they'll take this bolt out, this one here, that one here, and one down below it, and that will actually split this caliper in half and it'll dump out all the fluid. We don't need to do that in this particular case. We just need to unbolt it from the steering knuckle and then get the unit to come out. So there's going to be a couple of reasons that one would design such a brake caliper. Reason number one is you get a better clamping force with more piston area, and it applies that force to both sides fairly evenly. Let's see here. And the other advantage is it makes a friction material or brake pad change a little bit easier, because you actually don't have to remove the caliper in order to get your brake pads out of the unit here. So watch, I'll pull these slide pins out and I'll show you just how easy it is to get the pads out without touching anything else. Oop. Spring gravity, no worries, I got her. These are important. You cannot omit the springs. It's kind of a big deal. Pull that pin out there. And with these pins removed, our piston, or our pads, should just walk right out of the caliper here. See that? And there is our worn almost to nothing brake pad. Pull the inboard side out. So now what you would normally do is just compress these pistons with the tool, and you can slide your new pads right into the holes and then repin them, respring them, and you're good to go, and the caliper never has to go anywhere. However, we're changing rotors, so we need to go around to the back side of this caliper and unbolt this unit in order to get the rotor off of the hub. So let's go ahead and maneuver around to the inside here. You can see one of our fasteners right there. We're just going to hit these guys with the impact gun. Pull these two bolts out. Second one a little higher up. Okay, both caliper bolts are removed. Got one here, and the second one coming out right there. Now the caliper is free from the rotor, but we've got this hard line right here. See the hydraulic line? That's kind of in the way, and we don't want to bend the crap out of it. So what I'm going to do is take this bracket loose right here, and that hard line will remain stationary. We can maneuver the pistons or the caliper around and hang it up here, and that'll allow us space to get the rotor removed from the vehicle. Yeah, this design is slightly intimidating, and if you don't take the proper steps, you'll end up bending this line, and if you bend that line too much, it will fatigue it and it'll break it, and you'll have like a nasty fluid leak. We can see the thing comes right off, no problem, once everybody's disconnected properly. So what I'll do, we'll grab a little hook right here, and whoa, don't fall and break stuff, Ray. We're here to fix things, not break them. Yeah, we'll hang this caliper up here so it can't fall down and get broken. And that right there leaves us nice, easy access to pull the rotors. A little bit of encouragement. One rotor removed. Beautiful. Okay, let's give our rotor surface here a bit of a polish. It's not horrible. There's a very slight amount of buildup on it, but we're just going to clean it off. Real nice like. Nasty shiny. A little bit of extra shiny. Beautiful. Okay, I've unpackaged the new rotor. So we're gonna hang that thing up and we're gonna do it backwards. See that right there? Reason being, I need to wash off all the oil that's been sprayed onto this rotor surface to prevent rust. So a little bit of spray here, kind of wash it down. Give it a flip, slide it into position, a little bit more spray. Look at that, cleaning brakes with brake clean. Good to go. Now we can go grab our caliper and rehang it right back in its original position, bolt it in, and then we can slide the pads in between the pistons and the rotor. Okay, unhanging our caliper here. Slide this guy right back into its home. And we've got the 2 bolts. Second one around the back. Thread, please. There we go. Slight flexing was in order. And of course, we've got the 1 fastener up here on the bracket. Slide that back up. Pickage. Okay, so now we need to clean out these pistons, spread them open some, and then we'll slide the pads into position. It's the condition of the position that we're in. Yeah, I probably could have sprayed this when it was not hung on the rotor, but it's fine. Remember what I was talking about, doing things the hard way? I just do things the hard way. There we go, nice and shiny. So, in order to compress these pistons back into their bores, normally I would use like this ratcheting piston spreader tool. However, that may not fit very well inside because we tend to run out of space. I could probably do it this way and press these apart, but it'll do just the bottom half or the top half. The issue being is there's one singular chamber here for fluid and one singular chamber here for fluid, and they're both tied together through the caliper body. So if you press in one piston, theoretically it may want to press the other pistons back out, and you run the risk of pushing them out past their bore. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna put in one of the older brake pads, and we're just gonna use that kind of as a shim to prevent those pistons from extending and coming out of the bore. And rather than using the traditional tool, I can just simply go in with a couple pry bars and very carefully apply some pressure against these pistons to compress them. See that? Now I can use this pry bar to hold that one in position, and then the top pry bar I can act against that other piston. So now I've got one whole side pressed all the way back in, almost all the way. Now when doing such things, you got to use some caution so as to not dig into the rubber seals or scratch anything or even break the actual pistons inside. Some of these are steel and some of them happen to be like a ceramic. And if you put like a side load on it or you get after it with like an edge, you'll break that ceramic and it'll crack and it'll fall apart and leak everywhere, and that would be bad. So you got to take some care when doing such things. So now that we have one side installed or compressed, we're going to take the new pad and we're just going to slip that one in to its home right here. Now you'll notice I did not tighten down this caliper just yet, and that's so I can have the ability to maneuver things around some to get everybody fit together. So we've got one pad in position here. Let's get the other pistons compressed. Then we can slide the other pad in. Once both pads are in, I'll hit the bolts with the gun. There we go. And our outboard pad. By the way, use caution on such things because you could actually install these pads backwards where the backing plate would be riding on the rotor, and that would not be very effective. So make sure you get them in the right way. You'd be surprised. It happens. My set of brake pads came with new slide pins, so preliminarily we're just gonna put these pins in position. They'll have to come back out to set the springs up and everything, but I'm just doing this to get everybody referenced and in line and set up in position so it can't move around and fall out. Okay, impact coming back in, backside. Okay. Bottom one. That was good. So now we may set the pins up and this side will be good to go. So the top one's good, that can stay there. We'll pull the bottom one out. Get our new little spring device kind of set up in position here. So the pin has to go through little curves in this little spring. And then this guy clips into these holes here on the pad. Get in there. Okay, that one's good. Okay, now for the little spring that kind of holds it all together. That's this little guy right over here, the first one that we took out. You'll notice, if we can see, uh-oh, we have a problem. We have major problem. These pins are not long enough. Flipping aftermarket, man. Yeah, watch this. Wrong parts. It was going so smooth too. Look at that incorrect length on the pin. So I'll be reusing the old pins and not the new ones. It's fine, it'll work. They're not worn out and they're not rusted to nothing, so we can get away with that. I just gotta take it all apart and do it again because I love my job. Stay. There we go. Everything is a hammer. My t-shirt in the merchandise store says so. Even torches are hammers. Hammers are hammers, torches are hammers. There's so many different kinds of hammers. Anyway, so I've got the two little small holes in the bottoms of these pins right here. It's critical that this little spring clip device goes into those holes because that is what retains these pins and keeps them from basically falling out as the vehicle is driving. And these are also the wrong size. What is going on here? Yeah, look at that one, different length. Yeah, again, aftermarket parts, you gotta watch out. So we pin the pins with the little spring pin, and then that's gonna slide through this little hole right here in the caliper body and clips in. So now these pins are retained and they can't come out, which are retaining the pads, so those can't come out. And then of course the caliper is bolted onto the knuckle, so that can't come out. Looking good in the neighborhood, I'd say. Push the rotor back, make it flush. We've got good contact patch right here. Bolts are tight. This side's good to go. So let us maneuver over to the other side. We'll bang that one out real quick. Then we can take this thing out on the road and burnish these brakes in. You know, every simple little job is one broken bolt, one incorrect part, or one silly little mistake from turning into like a 1-hour job into a 3-day job. One thing goes wrong, just one. It's all it takes, just one. Yeah, see, this is the reason, this situation right here is the exact reason that shops oftentimes will flat out refuse to install customer supplied parts, because fitment issues. Are they made out of the correct materials? Are they fake, cheap Chinese Amazon knockoff? You know, counterfeit stuff that came in a nice box, but it's effectively garbage. You never know. And a lot of times what you end up with, like in a situation like this one, where the box components are correct for, you know, 90-something% of the applications, yet it would still list this as a suitable application because the pads fit, and the people that put those kits together don't realize that there are differences in components, such as things like the pins and the hardware and whatnot. And a lot of times those details are what can actually make or break a job. Now fortunately this stuff is reusable, but had these pieces of hardware been damaged, we would be up a creek right now with no resolution, because we would not be able to complete the job. And that would be annoying because it wastes everyone's time and money and effort, for that matter. And nobody likes their time and money and efforts wasted. Nobody. That's just not how that works. I mean, maybe there's like one guy out there, but I'm not that guy. Oh, by the way, speaking of hardware, there's some on the ground. The little retainer spring clip pin business, the new one that I installed on the other side, I just took that one out because the old one happens to be just slightly wider than the replacement. So none of the hardware that came with these pads is going to be reused. None of it. Zero. Zip, zilch, nada. Negative. It's all junk. Everything's junk, you guys. It's the 2020 phenomenon. It's all junk. Some of it's just better junk. We'll do this one a little differently than the other side. We will pry the pistons first. Yeah, see, watch. See how I pushed that one in, but this one came out? That's what you have to avoid. Okay, here's one. We'll compress the other one in a moment, because if I try to compress it, it's just gonna push these out. And since I don't have a rotor in place, it's a futile effort. Okay, 19 mil coming back in to the back side. I wonder why my guy couldn't get these bolts out. What seems to be the problem? Perhaps they didn't have a long enough tool to get the proper leverage going here. But my tool's long enough. Definitely long enough. Definitely. There's our bit of bracketry. So we'll hang that guy up. Now we can beat the rotor off and get the new one in position here. Everything is a hammer. Extra long hammer. It's the extended reach hammer, that's what it is. Extendo. Dong, 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 dong. Front row. My polishy bit came off. It's velcroed on, so things like that happen. Reload. Okay, reverse mounted rotor. Stay. Tell you what, I won't screw up my order of operations. While this is off, I'll spray this one out. See, there's often a number of different methods one can employ to achieve a similar result. Another! Goodbye, brake dust. I'm running out again, and no! I'm sorry, guys. My immaturity just overwhelms me sometimes. I just can't help it. Gotta have fun, right? If you can't have any fun, then well, what are you doing? What are you doing if you're not having fun? Because it's not worth it to not enjoy yourself. At least on some degree. I mean, I don't want to do this either. Nobody wants to do this kind of stuff, but it's what we do. Which is why you gotta make it kind of fun sometimes. In whatever way is possible. You know, kind of like when the annoying phone in the shop that doesn't apply to the people working in the shop is ringing and it's all amplified with a loudspeaker. I personally used to run around mocking it, going doo 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 doo, because that was a coping mechanism for the sheer stupidity against the genius that decided that the guys working in the building out in the facility in the shop needed to know when somebody was calling to schedule an appointment for an oil change. They needed to know that, so they put a loudspeaker out there. Psychological warfare. Like, didn't the Marines do that to Noriega back in the 80s or whatever? They played Spice Girls to drive the man insane. Well, that's kind of like going to work. You can be inundated with nonsense that's not productive, that works against the general health of the psyche, because the office staff, and you know, let me back up. Still talking about the phone ringers in the shop, because like every shop does this. The talking heads, the power that be, they decided that the phone ringer should be out in the shop, so when the front of the house staff is out in the shop, they know that the phone's ringing. The problem is the front of the house staff has no business being in the shop, so we don't need a phone ringer in the shop. But we can't seem to control our employees and get the protocol correct, so we have to do things like set them up for failure and set them up with psychological warfare to make sure that the phone gets answered, when the reality is it's just it's an intimidation method to basically force people to not be able to ever have an excuse for missing a phone call, because if you miss a phone call, that's like rule number one epic failure of your life, and people get in trouble because they didn't get to the phone fast enough. Like if you're in the bathroom, no excuses. It's just that corporate vomit nonsense behavior that our companies seem to employ. You know, kind of like what is it, like Walmart with their self-checkout nonsense. So they put in the self-checkout lanes, right? And then they found out that theft went up. So now they're prosecuting all these people for either deliberately stealing things or accidentally stealing things, because if you think about it, the shoppers are not trained cashiers, but the company expected them to become a trained cashier for their own convenience, to save time, and basically they're working for Walmart for free. But if you mess up, you catch a criminal charge. And Walmart realized that this wasn't working out so well for them, so now they're putting people back in at the registers to perform the role of cashing out customers, you know, like they should be. They're keeping the self-checkout lanes, and I understand that they're making customers pay Walmart for the ability to utilize the self-checkout services. So not only did they try to get us to work for them for free, now they're getting us to pay them to work for them. And somewhere up on the ladder, some freaking genius decided that that was a good idea, and that the community at whole would respond positively to such things. And I think it's going to turn out to be one of the largest corporate failure ideas ever. Kind of like what the fast food joints are doing, where they have that flexible AI powered pricing. You know, if you're at a period of high demand, the menu price for an item will go up, and if you're at a period of low demand, the menu price of that item can go down. Basically, this whole monologue rant here is kind of me running my mouth against corporate America, because they are very, very, very out of touch with their consumer base. And I do believe it's going to be the downfall of a lot of these companies, because people don't like it. I mean, you know, the oil industry pulled it off back in the day. Everything used to be like a full service gas pumps and whatnot. And they did manage to get us to work for them by pumping our own fuel in the name of convenience. But I don't think that concept is going to carry over into the modern day very much longer. I think that corporations are basically digging their own graves at this point. I hope they are, because they've been robbing us blind for years. And don't be a bootlicker in the comments coming in here talking about how, you know, everything's built off, you know, corporate progression and blah, 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 blah. These people have been taking advantage of us for our entire lives, and the jig is up and now we see it. It's all greed driven and fueled by profits, and nobody cares about the consumer. They don't fear the consumer anymore. They don't care about the consumer. Quality control isn't there. Customer service isn't there. It's just, you know, those days are just, it's over with, I think, for now, until some people start to go bankrupt and then they realize that they made a mistake. But I don't think we're there yet. It's gonna be one heck of a show, though, I'll tell you what. What a time to be alive, people. What a time to be alive. Appreciate it and be grateful for it, because our species will never see such a thing again. Let's get our nuts spun on here, and we'll let this thing down and take it out for a test drive. I certainly hope I didn't offend too many of you guys with my semi-political worldview rant on the corporate takeover of our entire value system. But it's about time that the voices start getting louder, because things need to change. They need to change big time. And all that just because some moron company couldn't put the right hardware inside of a brake pad kit for a Toyota. Yeah, how about that? Hear that? Do you guys know what this is? Anybody? Do you know? If you do, let me know in the comment section down below. It's not an extension. serves a very specific purpose. Click. Okay, one side done, the other side mostly done. Let us semi-circumnavigate the Toyota, get this last wheel in position, then we'll let her down and take it out on the road. Oh, one more tire. There we go. Slide that guy right in. Stay. Where's my nuts? Star pattern. Good. All right, Yoda. Let's let this thing down. Okie dokes. Climbing back in. Hands are all washed up. We're clean as a whistle. Let's go ahead and get this thing back out on the road. So what we need to do here before we go anywhere is get a hold of the pedal, and we're going to pump this pedal up. Get some light in here. Can't see. Oh, that one's dead. That's cute. So we need to pump the pedal a few times. What that's going to do is that's going to take brake fluid from the master cylinder reservoir and pump it back down into the calipers. As that fluid goes into the calipers, it's going to expand those pistons against the pads and then press them against the rotor, and that's going to take up all that space in between. If we fail to pump these brakes up before we attempt to back out, when we go to hit the pedal will just go to the floor because it's displacing fluid at that point in time, and it never allows the pads to contact the rotor. Therefore you get no friction, then you have no brakes. So we started. I'm gonna go ahead and pump it up again with the engine running. And as a safety protocol, we'll throw it into neutral real quick. Foot on the brake, and then I'm just gonna click it in reverse. Make sure the brakes are holding. Good. So we let off the brake, apply, good to go. Okay. So now that we know all of the slack is, or all the space is taken up at the pads and rotors, we can go ahead and take this out to burnish the friction material. Well, hello, darling.
Hi.
What you doing?
I'm here for my mandatory appearance.
Is this your mandatory appearance? You're just, how long have you been there?
30 seconds.
Okay, I'm over.
Your can that you threw.
Got it. Well, it fell.
It fell?
Yeah, it fell. It fell in a linear fashion. You know, it wasn't like a straight down fall. It kind of was like, whoo, and it went outwards.
Went, like,
yeah, I didn't really throw it. It just kind of.
I didn't want you to run it over, so.
I wanted to run it over.
Oh, you did?
I did. I don't see what happens. Hello, loon dog. What are you doing, baby? Yeah? You want to say hi? She's good. Poor dog. She gets lonely at home. She doesn't like being at home.
Watch her perform.
Oh, look at her. She's performing. Good girl. Good girl. Other paw. Do the other one.
Paw.
No, first paw. Good girl. She's a good dog. Both paws?
No.
She's like, nah, we're not doing that. Okay, so back to the task at hand here. We're going to do a procedure which is called burnishing. And it's basically, we're going to get the vehicle going and we're going to apply light pedal pressure to the brakes. And what that's going to do is apply some light pressure to the pads against the rotors. See, these being new pads and new rotors, the surfaces of those pads and rotors they're not exactly flat and they're not mated together. So if you look, for example, if you look at those surfaces like with a microscope, you will see a bunch of ridges and peaks and valleys and unevenness. Well, what we want to do is apply some speed and light pressure in order to knock down those ridges and valleys, and it's going to mate the two surfaces together and create more friction area and surface contact area between the pad surface and the rotor surface. So we're just going to get a bunch of speed built up into the rotors, and we're going to wear them to mate together so they perform efficiently. What we don't want to do is a series of very aggressive hard stops, because it can actually create an irregular wear on those pads and rotors on the peak and valley surfaces, and it can cause, for example, if we were to do a super aggressive stop right here, it could actually cause some of that pad material to embed itself in the area of the rotor where the pad stopped. So I'm making sure to keep very light pressure on the brakes, and we're not actually going to completely stop just yet if I can avoid it. If I have to completely stop, what I would do is take the gear shift and place it in neutral, and then take all the pedal pressure off the pedal. That way there's not an opportunity for that material to embed itself in the rotor surface. So again, light pressure right through here, very, very light pressure. We just need a bunch of turns on the rotor against the pad surface. So right here, I'm still maintaining super light pedal pressure. We've got a clearing, ready to rock and roll. Not pulling out in front of people. Why are we having a party on the side of the road here? What is this? That was viewed. So anyway, on the downhill side of this bridge is going to be a good opportunity for some burnishing, because we've got some speed built up. We're 60 miles per hour. This guy's going to cut me off and hit the brakes. Good job, Jersey. What is your problem, dude? What is this? Wow. That was good. You make me want to drive like Florida man, New Jersey. You can get out of the way anytime. It's a green light. I'm just going to go over here. This person is going to incite my Florida man road rage. So anyway, light pedal pressure, just kind of rolling around. We have not come to a complete stop just yet. Building up some speed on the brakes, and I'm avoiding a complete stop. I was noticing the first couple of pedal applications, this thing wanted to sort of pull off to the right, so let's check that real quick. Applying brakes. Yep, see that? She went to the right. Went to the right again. I certainly hope these brake pads are not garbage. That's another thing about aftermarket stuff, that you don't know where it came from. We could have brake pads that have a slightly different chemical composition, and one side is producing more friction than the other side. But as we break and burnish these in, if they're going to produce even friction, that's we won't be able to tell until after they're broken in. Yeah, this thing still wants to favor the right a little bit. It's not come to a stop yet. I'm gonna do one more once over the bridge. We've kind of got some surface area knocked down, I think, with the brake events that we've experienced thus far. So I'm gonna do a more aggressive stop on the way down on the other side of the bridge. This next go around right here. So getting up some speed, checking the mirror on the brakes, and it still kind of wants to pull. Speed up and do it again. Good, green light. Again, I'm trying to avoid stopping if at all possible. I know, it's kind of weird, right? You put on new brakes and you avoid stopping. Yeah, that train's gonna be parked there for a while. Okay, that guy's coming through kind of hot, so we're not pulling out in front of them. Oh, good. Green light. And I didn't even have to stop. Okay, full speed ahead. Well, not full speed, I'm like 80% throttle. But we're moving. 66 miles per hour. And on the brakes, harder, checking the mirrors, harder, checking the mirrors. As I got harder on the brakes, it wanted to favor the left. And this may require me blasting through this yellow light right here. Haha! I made it. Florida driving rules, I can do that. Yellow means floor it and speed up. Yeah, I don't like these pads at all. I really don't like them. I'm going to probably suggest that my guy get another set of pads. I'm not particularly fond of these brake pads. All right guys, I'm gonna go drive around a little bit more and try to get a really good burnish on these brakes. I think you get the hint. I'll check back in just a minute, but I need to get a couple good passes up and over this bridge. On the brake, and it wants to favor the right, and then you push a little harder and it kind of wants to favor the left. Yeah, I don't like these pads. These are junk. Yeah, off the internet, no name, whatever, white box, not a brand name part. I'm not happy with it. I'm gonna recommend that my guy get himself a better set of brake pads, because these ones are no bueno. I'm sure that, I mean, maybe the rotors are okay, but I don't know where they came from, and I don't like this initial pull to the right. And yeah, look at that, that was gnarly. You should not be doing that at all. Okay, well, I'm headed back to the shop. I'm gonna give my guy the bad news. Chances are I'm not going to remedy this situation today, or maybe even my dude might end up doing it himself, since I did the hard part and got the rotors off of there. That's cute, a little Volvo with a camper. So guys, having said all that, I don't believe I have anything more to offer you on this particular video other than an anti-corporate, anti-fascist rant about how we're getting destroyed in our monetary system and our laborers are being exploited and taken for granted. Next section of my rant is crappy Chinese knockoff parts, which I guess falls back into my rant on category number 1 about the companies not giving a 2 licks about their consumer. And I think that these super crappy brake pads on this brand new, you know, $60,000, well, $40,000 vehicle, I think that kind of illustrates just how much they don't care, because there's a company out there that's allowed to sell subpar absolute garbage that could potentially send your vehicle off the road during a panic braking event, which is kind of disconcerting and well, it's sad and unfortunate, but it is what it is. That's where we live in, so we just have to navigate through these hurdles. Anyway guys, before too many of you unsubscribe for me revealing a slight amount of my political beliefs, I'm gonna go ahead and close this one out right now. I will do such things as always by thanking each and every one of you guys for watching this video. Let me know what you think about this situation in the comment section down below. Do not forget to tap that like and subscribe button while you're down there. And most importantly, have yourselves a great day. Do not buy cheap car parts. Buy once, cry once. Enjoy the quality. Don't buy garbage. Use your money wisely. Don't work for free. And stop bowing to our corporate overlords. And that will end my soapbox rant / brake job crappy parts video for the day. So thank you guys again for watching. See y'all later. Have a great day. End of video. End of transmission. There we go. Parking's the auto. Powering down.